is Jordan McKinney. So I asked him what were his hobbies, kind of like to help you guys get to know our community moment speakers. And he said being a dad, playing music with his band, The Errands, which you called parent rock and equality rock. Does parent rock mean because you have kids?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there was like some lingo in there. I didn't really know, which is likely for me to happen. He also enjoys Batmaning, which is playing Batman on PS4, and helping hardworking students get into nursing school. I asked for 3 words to describe himself. He said, verbose, selfishly unselfish. And if he had a warning label, what would it be? He said, impose strict time limits for speaking engagements. So I needed like saying 5-10 minutes, right? So let's all give a really great warm welcome to Jordan.
I did bring out my phone. I set a timer on it. I'm responsible for my own destiny. That's what I've learned in life in general. First off, I just wanted to say as a parent, I think thanks to Chris's amazing performance, all the kids are in the other room. They're really mad at us right now. My parents said never to sing that song again. They're singing it. No, thank you for that. That was a really wonderful performance. So, yeah, my name is Jordan. I'm a father, a husband, a nursing admission counselor at William Jewell College. And I love a good joke, and I love heavy metal music more than I love other forms of music. I make music as a drummer and a singer when I can. My bachelor's degree is in religious studies. Thank you all for letting me talk to you today. Thanks for all the facilitators who work so hard to make this gathering what it is. I've been coming to Oasis whenever I can with my wife Mandy and our 2-year-old daughter Olivia for a couple months now. I wanted to tell you about 2 rules that we've used to guide our lives with regard to our friends and family practically since Mandy and I met. And the overall message that I wanted to talk about today is accountability. Accountability, as I like to say to the students that I work with at Jewell, accountability is something you can never have unless you take it for yourself. And so rule number 1 is, if the people we meet add positivity to our lives, we will strive to add positivity to theirs whenever we possibly can. And rule number 2 is, if the people we meet add negativity to our lives, we have permission to move on. And that first rule has been liberating and unrestricted. It's in the space of that first rule that we can be open-minded and live without judging others. And someone may have something to teach us about a different job or a kind of music or culture. Positivity comes in many forms. That second rule is tough. We are very patient, we're as forgiving as we can be, but when we recognize that someone is taking more than our little family unit can afford to share, we have given ourselves permission to move on and be strong for ourselves. There are a lot of people in our lives for whom we would do just about anything. And just because we're continuing to walk forward without a certain person doesn't mean we're shunning them. The second rule explains why neither one of us is involved in the church anymore. In our own ways, we both discovered it was taking more from us than it was contributing. And that means that our tally of people we've had to leave behind is at 2, unless you count religion as a person. If corporations can be people, then I say for today that religions can be 2, which means the tally is actually at 3, because that religion guy, we kicked him out. I studied religions long enough to learn something very important. My observation about religion is that organized religion in many cases takes the greatest and worst achievements of humanity and ascribes them to a higher power, outside force. And in the battle for mental earth, that can leave our heads spinning as to who our allies are and who needs to be left behind until they figure it out. And how many times has someone on your Facebook feed talked about accomplishing something truly great and then given all the credit to God, despite the other human people who helped them do it, and their own human hands working towards something truly good? And on the other hand, why would we have the stereotype of the devil made me do it if there was any real sense of accountability? And in the mold of confession and forgiveness, why is it possible that uttering some prescribed amount of words without backing them up with action can result in a pardon of any kind? My morality comes from my guilt for my misdeeds and my desire to fix them. And the happiness I have today comes from my decision to live a life helping others. When we look out at the world, we see one in which a person can die based on someone else's judgment of that individual's fate. And I think that to some degree, the late nights with our kid and the need to mow the lawn or turn over the laundry gave us a pardon from being bold enough to start coming to Oasis sooner, to be ourselves and risk the summary judgment. And as such, we were relegated to loneliness. We were grateful for each other, we always have been, but we were longing for something more outside the walls of our house. We do live in an exciting time. The right for all men and women, regardless of sexual identity, to become legally married was defended by the Supreme Court. We live to see that day. And I found myself selfishly wishing that the Supreme Court could do the same for people who exercise their right not to subscribe to a specific religion or even the majority religion in America. Out of my inner child, there came a soft, almost inaudible whimper. Please protect me and my family too. The hardest part of it all was when I realized it shouldn't take the Supreme Court acting as the Christian savior to uphold the very reason the Constitution was ever necessary in the first place: freedom of and from religious systems. And thus the battle for mental earth rages on. Computers are essentially speaking directly to our brains. The earth really is mental right now. And even though sanity prevailed in Obergefell versus Hodges, we can't even have a coherent conversation about heavyweight topics like religion, race, politics on the internet, or even at the dining room table. Or can we? I actually got a call from my Christian sister one night, and she and her male domestic partner were struggling to categorize their differences in faith. And she asked me to share what I'd learned about Christian history, about Jesus, the process of biblical writings, the Dead Sea Scrolls. I responded by asking to what extent was she comfortable with me completely ruining her day with regard to the basis of her church. And her partner didn't believe in the Bible. He wanted to know if he should just phone in an appearance at church for Christmas to make appearances for family gatherings and things like that. I told him that if he wanted to support my sister in her faith, he could go and support her, but that if it made him too uncomfortable, maybe he could just stay home and get lunch ready and enjoy some sports on TV in the meantime. My sister then made my heart jump a little bit out of fear. You see, my wife and I aren't totally out as secular humanists, atheists. She said that she'd noticed that my wife doesn't bow her head during prayers at family meals. I said, "Oh, so you noticed." all the while thinking, "Oh, geez, I don't think I like where this is going to go." But my sister went on to tell me how much she admired my wife for not compromising her heart and standing strong in who she is. She told me that she thought her partner deserved the same. And I told my sister that I admired her for taking accountability for treating the people in her life the right way. She told me how much she loves my wife for being a loving, dedicated member of her family and working so hard to raise her niece in a healthy way. And I just thought, in the wake of marriage equality becoming the law of the land, maybe we as a society are slowly winning a majority of people who look around and realize that the people we love who don't believe or behave the way we do, it's really okay that we are all accountable for our own actions. And furthermore, if we're trying to be good to each other, then nothing is broken. There's nothing to fix. And that was when I found the strength to utter words I'd been truly scared of uttering before. My wife is a dedicated atheist, and I support her in that completely. When the people we love are more important to us than politics or religion, rule number one is really easy. We can just get down to being there for each other and adding positivity to each other's lives. And rule number two is far, far away. We can have great conversations and think about being there for the people we love. We will still have those little battles in the war for sanity and equality, but I believe love and accountability will prevail. When I studied Zen in college, I heard a story of a wandering master leaving a monastery after achieving enlightenment. And on his way out of the village, he stopped to warm his hands over a fire when a young child asked him, "What is enlightenment like?" And the master tiredly slung his pack off his shoulder to the ground and exhaled a long breath with a smile. Then the child asked, "What will you do now?" The master picked picked up his pack again, slung it onto his shoulder, and smiled as he put his feet back on. And that's what me, Mandy, and Olivia will do now. And we are thankful to you all beyond any way that you could ever know for providing the space and your unjudgy hearts to share with everyone else. We are winning the battle for mental health, and I hope that pretty soon we'll just all be okay. Thank you.